The story America tells about the wealth gap is usually about who got locked out. There's another story about the people who got in. Why is it so hard to buy a house? Why could your parents afford one at 27 and you can't at 35? Why does every generation seem to start further behind? And you've heard the explanation, the wealth gap, redlining, the 1934 FHA maps that decided which neighborhoods got loans and which didn't. That's true. It's just not the whole story. Alicia Fernandez grew up in a house on Blackstone Street in Northwest Detroit. Her father worked the line at General Motors and pinched pennies for years to buy it. When her parents moved across town in 2013, they gave her the house for her to raise her own daughter. She struggled to keep up with the property taxes, and in 2017, she lost her childhood home over a $3,000 outstanding balance in property taxes. She and her 3-year-old daughter moved back in with her parents. 2 years later, Wayne County auctioned the house for $11,000. The county kept $8,000 in profit. The house has been vacant ever since. No one has lived there since she left.
Have some gentrifying going on. You have people who have been in the community for years. They're being pushed out.
We want to live here and we want to do what we've been doing all of our lives.
You're struggling, and everybody is. Everybody's struggling.
Christopher Berry spent years analyzing property tax assessments across the United States. He found that people who owned a home in the bottom 10% of their county by value pay an effective tax rate that is on average more than double what someone in the top 10% pays. Properties in majority Black neighborhoods are assessed at 1.5 times the county average, which means Black homeowners pay 10 to 13% more in property taxes than white homeowners for equivalent homes. We're not talking 1934. We're talking the tax bill that arrived last month. Every county has an assessor's office. Fluorescent lights, cubicles, the mundane machinery of local government. Their job is to figure out what your house is worth so you pay your fair share of property taxes. Schools, roads, fire departments depend on this money. The problem is assessors use models and algorithms that look at what similar houses sold for and estimate from there. In neighborhoods where houses don't sell often, the models get sloppy. And in neighborhoods where houses are cheap, the models get high. Cheap homes get overassessed while expensive homes get underassessed. At the end of the day, the poor subsidize the rich. And this happens in the vast majority of counties across the United States. If you think your assessment is wrong, you can appeal, but the system is opaque, and appealing takes time, knowledge, and truthfully, a lawyer. Wealthy homeowners appeal more often because they have the means and capacity. They win more often and get bigger reductions. The system that's supposed to correct the bias makes it worse. Think about what this means for the wealth gap. It's not just that Black families were locked out of buying homes, it's that the families who did buy, the ones who beat the odds, who saved and sacrificed, who got in despite everything, had their equity drained year after year by tax bills that were higher than they should have been. Less equity means less to pass down, less to borrow against for a kid's tuition, less cushion when something goes wrong. The redlining story is about who got to start the race. This is about who got taxed for running it. In the early 1900s, 2 men arrived in Detroit looking for work. One was Tommy Brown, Jr., a sharecropper from North Carolina. The other was Paris Bucci, a sharecropper from Italy. Both came with nothing. Both found jobs at Ford's River Rouge plant. Same factory, same starting line. Tommy Brown couldn't live where Paris Bucci could. Racially restrictive covenants kept Black families out of certain neighborhoods. Redlining kept them out of certain mortgages. Brown stayed in the city. Bucci's family moved to the suburbs where the houses were bigger, cheaper, and appreciated faster. In 1973, Tommy Brown bought a 6,000 square foot house in Detroit where he raised generations of his family for decades, including children and grandchildren under one roof. When the factories closed and the jobs left, the house remained. It was the family's equity, inheritance, and most importantly, proof that the work had meant something. His granddaughter, Marisha, inherited the house. She tried to keep up with the property taxes, but the taxes were calculated on an assessed value that violated the Michigan Constitution. Between 2009 and 2015, anywhere from 55 to 85% of Detroit properties were overassessed. Marisha couldn't pay bills that should never have been that high. The house went into foreclosure, speculators bought it for $36,000 and quickly flipped it. The legacy Tommy Brown spent his life building was turned into a profit for investors who never set foot inside. Paris Bucci's descendant is Robert Ficano. He became Wayne County Executive, the top official in the county government that oversaw the foreclosure crisis. His family lives in homes worth more than $250,000 in Michigan's wealthiest suburbs. 2 grandfathers, same factory, same starting point. One family built wealth for generations, the other had it extracted. It's not a gap that opened in 1934 and coasted from there. That's a machine, still running, still charging interest.
My great-grandfather purchased the home.
This house is a link to Jalen Stevens' past, but he's fighting for its future, struggling to pay the property taxes.
I've been risking foreclosure for the last 6 years.
After the housing crisis of 2008, property values collapsed.
Continue its slump, and prices will fall even further. In October, they fell by 18% from the year before, the sharpest drop on record.
But Detroit didn't reassess. For years, it kept taxing homes based on values that no longer existed. Between 2009 and 2015, anywhere from 55 to 85% of Detroit properties were being assessed in violation of the Michigan Constitution. 1 in 4 Detroit properties went into tax foreclosure. Not mortgage foreclosure, tax foreclosure. Seized not because the owners couldn't pay for the house, but because they couldn't pay bills that should never have been that high.
A study by the University of California at Irvine found that since 2009, 1 in 4 Detroit properties have been foreclosed for non-payment of taxes.
More than 100,000 properties, the highest foreclosure rate of any American city since the Great Depression. In 1979, a professor named Arthur Lyons at the University of Illinois published a study of property tax assessments in Cook County, Illinois. He found Black neighborhoods overtaxed and white neighborhoods undertaxed, sometimes by a factor of 3. A graduate student named Tony Mahan spent more than 1,200 hours digging through records. "We didn't expect to find what we found," she said. "We expected a hint of it. This is a lot more than a hint." That was 1979. In 2017, the Chicago Tribune investigating Cook County found the same thing. Properties in Black and Hispanic census tracts were twice as likely to be overassessed by 20% or more. In 2021, Christopher Berry published a national study, the vast majority of counties. Same pattern. The knowledge has existed for nearly 50 years. The machine kept running away. No one marches on an assessor's office. There was no viral videos of property tax models, no nationally televised hearings about assessment ratios, no celebrity campaigns to reform appeals processes. The county's assessor's office is boring. The systems that extract wealth from Black communities used to announce themselves. Whites-only signs, Klan robes, fire hoses. You could see them, you could photograph them, you could put them in a museum and say, "Look how far we've come." The systems that extract wealth now hide in spreadsheets and algorithms in the dull machinery of local government that no one pays attention to because it's not dramatic enough to make the news. A family loses a house over $3,000 in taxes on an assessment that was unconstitutional. There's no villain to point to. There's no moment of crisis. There's just a letter, and then another letter, and then someone shows up to change the locks. The mundane nature of it all is the cover. Alicia Fernandez didn't lose her house because she was irresponsible. She lost it because the system charged her more than it should have, then took everything when she couldn't pay. The house her father spent years saving for, the house where she grew up, where she wanted to raise her daughter, still sits empty. No one wanted it. No one needed it. The county just needed her out. Christopher Berry built a tool. You can look up your county and see how biased the assessments are. Some places are starting to fix it. The next time someone explains the wealth gap with a map from 1934, ask them about the tax bill from last year, because that's the part they leave out.